Every now and again, as part of just doing this creative thing when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, I have to debunk a couple of rumors, thoughts, expectations. And today, we're going to talk about why Bulls fans are saying that the Bulls should considering trading DeMar DeRozan for James Harden. Hell no. We're going to talk about it right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize. You guys can follow the channel right off the top at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform that we happen to be on. It's still our 2-year anniversary celebration day, but with that said, sometimes we have to slow the celebration down and just become a little bit more realistic. So everybody's probably seen at this point that James Harden, on top of requesting a trade, came out and called Daryl Morey a liar and that he would never work for an organization again that Daryl Morey is a part of it, even going as far as to be planning to hold out of training camp. Now, while that can get a little bit interesting for James Harden, considering that there is a clause in the CBA that if he tries to sit out his last year of his contract, that the Philadelphia 76ers can extend it and then force him to go through this another year. So, we'll see what happens with that. I do think ultimately they're going to trade him. But when you look at this, and a lot of Bulls fans are asking the question, and I saw it out on a tweet, I'm sure the idiot at Diehard Chicago Bulls probably posted it as well as other people, that the Bulls should consider trading James Harden for DeMar DeRozan. And here's what I'm going to say when it comes down to that. Hell no, hell fucking no. No. As much as I have problems, you guys know, I've had my problems with DeMar DeRozan, absolutely, right? And I'm not the biggest DeMar DeRozan fan by any stretch of the imagination where I'm like have this blind thing where some Bulls fans hold DeMar DeRozan as being the reason why the Chicago Bulls have been better and things like that. Like, he's part of it. Yes, absolutely. You cannot take away from that. And I understand what he means and how and what he means to this team and what his place is on this team as well, right? But when you look into heading into the season, right, on top of everything else, there's not that much age difference between them. When you look at DeMar DeRozan just turned 34 last week, James Harden turns 34 in 2 weeks, right? So not that much of an age gap between those guys. When you look at the fact of the position that they play, could James Harden play more of a point guard? Absolutely. Could it then move Patrick Williams to the small forward, which a lot of Bulls fans want to see, which I still have my issues with saying that that's going to really fix anything? Absolutely. But when you look at them as players and what they bring and the gravity that they hold, James Harden is one of the best regular season players that you will find. Look at his averages last year. 21 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, almost 11 assists per game on 44% shooting from the field. You cannot take away from that. He played it. And the fact that he's able to score 21 points, only taking 14 shots per game last season, did James Harden. You cannot take away from that at all. When you look at DeMar DeRozan's stats last year, 24.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 5.1 assists on 50% shooting overall from the field. DeMar DeRozan taking 17 shots to get there, right? One of the biggest things, the difference between them as well, DeMar DeRozan, 1.9 shots per game the last 2 seasons, both with the Chicago Bulls. DeMar DeRozan, 7.2 shots per game, which absolutely, considering the Bulls need to change that shot profile, he hits that at a 38% clip. I understand why people say the fit is there for DeMar DeRozan. But here's the thing. DeMar DeRozan gets paid a whopping $10 million more, basically, than DeMar DeRozan. And we already know this front office ain't about to pay the luxury tax. And you're going to pay that for a player that has 1 year left on their contract, right? On top of that, which DeMar DeRozan does too, so I guess it's null there. But the fact of the matter is, while James Harden is one of the better regular season players that you will find, the postseason is a very different order for James Harden. Yes, when you look at his averages through the postseason, he averaged pretty well in the postseason last year, averaging 22 points per game in that conference semifinals against the Boston Celtics. In the quarterfinals, he averaged 17.3 points per game that he did overall in the postseason. Not too shabby. Scored 223 points overall in the postseason last year. But let's look at that conference semifinals against the Boston Celtics. He had 2 games, one with 42 points, one with 45 points. Everything other than that was sub 20 points, 12 points, 16, 17, 13, 9. Now, wants to say, hey, at least he got there. right? At least he got there. We can't even go over similar numbers for DeMar DeRozan because we just didn't get it, right? We were in the play-in tournament. Ultimately, it comes down to this as well. AK, more than anything else, values high character guys. And that is why you see people like Vooch, people like DeMar DeRozan. That's why I debunked Kelder's voicemail the other day, right? He values high character guys. James Harden is the biggest prima donna in all of sports. Kimbo Wedge, as I call him, because he's not small enough to be Kimbo Slice. There's no reason why me and James Harden should have the same body composition because I'm fat and I'm sitting here talking to you guys in my home studio, whereas James Harden is a professional basketball player. And while he has been a prima donna his last 2 stops, you look at Houston gaining all that weight to force himself to be traded. He did drop it. Goes to Brooklyn, a team that they manufactured and super team that they put together. He wants out less than a year and a half after going there. There's no way in hell AK is going to risk that on a Bulls team that hasn't gone far. When you look at both Brooklyn, they were pairing him with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They had confidence, reason to have confidence that that team was going to be able to do something. You look at Philly, pairing him with Joel Embiid and the roster that they had there was reason to think that they were going to make some noise in the playoffs. You think the Chicago Bulls are going to trade any form of assets to bring in a player that does not have any type of long-term contract, that is shown even if he did have a long-term contract, he's absolutely, the moment things go left, whether it's because of him or not, is going to be a prima donna, a big-ass crybaby, and try to force his way out? You think that that's a player the Chicago Bulls should trade for? DeMar DeRozan for James Harden is not happening in any shape, form, fashion, in any realm, in any possibility. Stop it. Please stop it. Go home, lay down the weed, or pick up the weed when you go home. Just stop trying to get James Harden in the Chicago Bulls uniform. It's not going to happen. It's not worth it. It's not any type of long-term play or relevance in that. It's not going to happen. And I had to say my piece on that. Let me know what you guys think on everything down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, and I don't give a damn if another channel is your favorite because this is where you need to be. And like I like to end every episode on, see red, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.